I'm Dave and this is Logan, out once again for a walk in the countryside. Thanks for joining us. Now today we're at the pretty village of Portesham in Dorset. It's about 6 miles to the southwest of Dorchester and 7 miles northwest of Weymouth. And we're going to be doing a roughly 4.5 mile circular route starting and finishing in the village, and we'll be heading up north through some woods, uphill, exploring the Hardy Monument before then heading back along the ridge at Bronkham Hill, down a valley and then back through the village. And along the way we're going to see some of the most spectacular views in Dorset, that I can promise. Now we're filming at the end of May. It's been a pretty miserable May weather-wise, one of the wettest on records, but I'm delighted to say the sun is out today, there are blue skies and the temperature is perfect for a walk. Are we ready? He's ready, let's go. Well, I've parked my car in the centre of the village by a cute little village green, and at the edge of that is a green telephone box, which is a little bit unusual. I know some of the K6 designed in 1936 boxes were allowed to be green in rural locations. I think that's the first one I've seen. Now if we just wander over here, there's a very helpful map. I can show you exactly where we're going to be going. So we've parked here opposite the pub virtually, going to make our way northwards, have a look at the church, and this is the path that we're going to follow, very much uphill, something I want to look at there, and then this is the track all the way up to the Hardy Monument, and then across along the South Dorset Ridgeway here, then down this track here, and then back along the road to the village. Well, we're making our way north through the village. There's a lovely little stream called the Millbrook that flows down from Front Street from a spring, I believe, and it's channeled to form a mill leat further south. And right by me here is this gorgeous church. It's St. Peter's Church. The nave was built in the late 12th century, the chancel built in the 13th century and tower added. The chancel was then rebuilt around the 1500s, and the north and south aisles and south porch added in the 16th century. It suffered less from Victorian restoration than many other churches in the district. I think it's got 3 bells, and just looking at the porch, I think there is some evidence there of an old mass dial. Well, at the northern end of the village there's this quite enchanting little pond just by me here. It really is beautiful. So there's a little dog dip as well, although we don't want to disturb the ducks there now. Now on a map it looks like there's a spring just behind it, and there's a lovely little waterfall. Well, the name Portesham it means settlement in a well-watered valley. And certainly in the past, at one stage, there were 3 pubs here. There's just the one here now, and that's the King's Arms pub by the green. And I think there's been a pub building there since at least 1900. The second pub, which is now closed, was called the Half Moon pub, and I think that's now residential. I did see an old picture of it though. And then finally there was a pub called the Fountain. That used to be a pub until 1901, then it became a baker's, then a post office, and in fact there was beer brewed here. I did come across an old photograph and it looks like this house over the road. I wonder also if that's the ironwork of the old pub sign on the side. We've made our way out of the village now and following a footpath sign that tells us that Hardy Monument is only 1.5 miles away. Unfortunately, most of it is uphill, but it'll be worth it when we get there. Let's go. Whew. Well, we're making good progress with our ascent. So this is a good place just to stop and admire the view, which already is looking quite stunning. So let me show you in the far distance. This is obviously looking south, and that's the village down in the valley. Now in the far distance at the top of the hill, just to make out, that's St Catherine's Chapel at Abbotsbury. Hopefully we're going to be doing a walk over there sometime later on this year. And then just to the left of that, you can just see the top of Chesil Beach, and obviously that's the English Channel over there. And then just panning around again more of the Chesil Beach and the lagoon just in front of it. But beautiful on a gorgeous sunny day like today. Oh, I love these dry stone walls. You have to admire the craftsmanship and skill that goes into making them, don't you? And that is our first view of the Hardy Monument up on the top there. I'll tell you a little bit more about it when we eventually get there. And just while we're here, just pan across to the east, and that ridge there is Bronckham Hill, which we'll be going back on our homeward journey, and then panning round. It's a very hazy day. I don't know if you can make out on the sea. There's what, 1, 2, 3, looks like there's 5 of those cruise liners, and then that's the Isle of Portland over there. But again, we might get better views when we're at the very top. But before we carry on towards the monument, I'm going to make a slight detour to the west, because there's something quite interesting that I want to show you there. And this is what I wanted to show you. It's called the Hellstone. It's a Neolithic dolmen that's well, it was badly restored in 1866, but it's a tomb, and it looks like a table with upright stones supporting a flat stone on the top. And it's a burial chamber that's to the southeast of a sort of a rectangular mound, a long barrow here. In fact, just to the west of here, there's another barrow called the Grey Mare and her colts. Isn't it fascinating? And I can't go inside because it's a bit of water in there. It's not very big. You going to have a look? You might get a little damp though, fella. Yeah. And then just to the side there's a little pond, which I'm guessing has just been dug for any livestock that come up here. Another good excuse to stop, another pit stop to look at a view, and quite an alluring little valley here. And as you can see, well, down there, which is where we're going to be going, that's the ruins of Blackdown Farm, and then that's Blackdown in front of us, which we'll be ascending shortly to get to the monument. And then there's a really pretty little valley, lush green grass now with the spring growth, and evidence of some ancient field systems there as well. Okay, well, if you're going to be doing this walk or following the map that I put at the start, there are 2 ways up to the monument. There's this first one here, but I would suggest you ignore that one and just carry on a few yards to the west, where there's a bridle way. I say we're right by that old derelict farm building. Look at those narrow gaps in the wall. It's got an air of mystique to it, hasn't it? So this is the signpost to look out for that's going to take us up to the monument. You should easily miss it, and the reason I recommend this one is because it takes us through a lovely little bit of woodland as well. So let's head on through. Nice to get a little bit of shade as well, just coming through here. So we're actually now, as I said, on the South Dorset Ridgeway, which is a 17-mile path that runs from West Bexington in the west to Osmington Mills. It's also part of the South Coast Path, which is that big 630-mile long distance path from Poole in Dorset all the way around to Minehead in Somerset. Now, although it's only, did it say half a mile or quarter mile to the monument, but it is a little bit uphill, but as I say, worth it, that's for sure. Wow. Now, I don't know if this is going to come across that well on the camera because we're actually in quite a shaded little bit of woodland here, but there's a quite exquisite display of bluebells. It's been such a great spring for bluebells everywhere, and this is quite typical, and they're just beginning to go over now, but they are quite pretty nonetheless. We've made it to the top, and behind me here is the Hardy Monument. Now, it's got nothing to do with Thomas Hardy, the author and poet. In fact, the local boy Thomas Masterman Hardy, who went on to become an admiral and went on to fight at the Battle of Trafalgar. So let me tell you a little bit more about the monument. Well, Thomas Masterman Hardy was born in 1769 at Kingston Russell House, not too far from here, and he was raised at Portesham House. The house is in the village, very close to the green actually. Beautiful pair of lions outside as well. He ran away to sea aged 12, returned and then ran away again at 16, spending 5 years on a merchant ship before joining the Navy in 1790, where he remained for 30 years or so after the Battle of Trafalgar. Now, he was probably best known for being the commander or flag captain of HMS Victory, Nelson's flagship at the Battle of Trafalgar in 1805. Of course, Nelson died in the conflict uttering those famous words, "Kiss me, Hardy," or I believe his last actual words were, "God bless you, Hardy." Hardy was eventually knighted and became First Sea Lord. He died in 1839, and although he spent most of his time at sea or in London, Portesham House remained his family home until 1807. Now, this point here is on the highest point of Blackdown, and it was owned by the Hardy family. In 1805 a beacon stood on this point, one of many that would be lit if a French invasion was sighted. Now, the monument here was erected in 1844 by Hardy's daughter and public subscription. It's 72 foot high and built of local Portland stone. It was restored by his descendants in 1900 and bought by the National Trust in 1938. It's designed to look like a spyglass, which would have been used on Hardy's ship, and there are 8 corners that are aligned with the compass points. The whole heathland area around the monument was designated an SSSI in 1984. Well, you certainly get some cracking views from up here. And on a clear day you can see Start Point in Devon to the west and St Catherine's Point on the Isle of Wight to the east, both 56 miles away. And to the north you can see Pen Hill in the Mendip Hills, that's 38 miles away. So this is looking over to the east, and I can just about make out Poundbury and Dorchester and the Maiden Castle, Iron Age Hill Fort. And then this is looking round to the north with those beautiful rolling landscape scenes typical of Dorset. Quite beautiful. Well, we've said goodbye to the Hardy Monument and we're now heading in a southeasterly direction across the Bronkham Hill. And if you look at a map, there are loads and loads of tumuli there, so hopefully we'll come across a few of those. Just getting here, in fact, we passed through a lovely little area of heathland with another gorgeous display of bluebells. You certainly get some great views either side of the ridge along here. We're actually on the Jubilee Trail, which is a 90-mile long distance path that winds its way through Dorset. It starts at Ford Abbey in Somerset and ends at the Bockley Dyke on Martin Down. In fact, we've come across the start or end point at Bockley Dyke on our Pentridge walk, so if you haven't seen that, do check it out. Just an update, by the way, on my new puppy Fiver. He's coming along in leaps and bounds. He's starting to do some walks outside now. Still going to be quite a while before he can join Logan and myself on some long distance countryside walks. But what I'll do is I'll put a little bit of video footage, 2 or 3 minutes long, at the end of this video, and you can see how he's getting on. And here we are with one of the many barrows, ancient burial mounds at the top of the ridge here. Many of them do have quite obvious ditches going around them as well. Well, I'm right by another one of the barrows, again with an obvious ditch around it, and right next to it is this sinkhole. I'm not going to see too much in here, I don't think. It's a bit dark through there, and there's a few of these in the area. They're called, say, sinkholes or swallow holes, and they're formed by rain falling on the very highly acidic topsoil that's around here, that then percolates through to dissolve the chalk and soft limestone underneath, and you get these caverns that form vertically. And apparently 2 opened up in 1956 and were found to be 330 foot deep. And those caverns were formed during the last ice age by meltwater dissolving the chalk below. So they've been there growing for many centuries. Well, there are a number of different routes back to the village. And there's one path here that takes us to Hell Bottom. That doesn't sound very appealing, so we'll give that route a miss and carry on southeastwards. Now, if you're going to be following this route, then this is an important point to note. Look out for these, I suppose you call them water containers or water bowsers. Don't carry on along the path straight as if you're still carrying on sort of southeastwards. Look out for this gate and a path. There is actually a footpath sign here that goes down beside the side of a hill, a field. So we're going to go through here, and this is going to take us eventually down onto a road. So again, just for the purpose of anyone that's doing the walk, we've come down on the other side of that hedge line along the side of this field, and then there's a gap, and you can see there's a little stile to come across, and you come up alongside here, and this is where you pick up another footpath sign here, and then continue heading southwards. So it's not, well, this bit's obvious, but back by the field it wasn't an obvious footpath. Oh, the sun really is out now. It's fantastic. So we've now made our way back to a little road, and we're on the homeward leg now, heading back towards the village. We're going to stick to the road. If you're feeling adventurous, you can do a footpath that avoids the road, which is just here on my right. However, I did try it a couple of, or 2 or 3 weeks ago. The footpath itself is pretty much indistinguishable, and the only way up to that ridge at the top is by doing a sort of zigzag course all the way up. And when you do get to the top, there's loads of sheep, so I wouldn't have been able to take Logan anyway. But I'll put a map up on screen showing you the 2 alternatives. But we're going to take the gentle stroll along this road, and it's not a busy road anyway. Well, just as we're making our way along the road back to Portesham, passed by this quite magnificent building that certainly deserves investigating. It's a Wadham house, and the original house here was enlarged in 1651 and further work done in round about 1700. Part of the house was burnt down in 1704 apparently. And look at those fantastic, are they some sort of hunting dog breed statues there? Wonderful. Well, just before we head back into the village, there's one more thing that I want to show you. I've done a little detour uphill to show you the remains of an old quarry that's just behind me here. And there it is. It was in operation in the 19th and 20th centuries. In fact, there's a little information board here. Of course, they were digging out Purbeck limestone, and I don't know what that wooden structure there was used for. And even more intriguing is this, well, fantastic sculpture here. I think it's supposed to be a dinosaur. Oh, brilliant. Now, there used to be a little track or tramway, I suppose, that went from the quarry down, and it joined up with the old railway track. In fact, look, there's still a little bit of evidence, a bit of rail track there. So basically it went along here and then down, sort of, and eventually joined, say, the old railway track, which ran from Abbotsbury in the west to join the Weymouth Dorchester line in the east. In fact, Portesham did have a railway station that opened in 1885, but the line closed in the 1950s. And the system that they used with the quarry is that the full trucks went downhill and they pulled the empty ones up. And the tramway still shows on some of the old maps anyway, but you certainly get some terrific views up here as well, as far as the eye can see. And on a glorious day like today, it really is quite fantastic. Well, folks, we've come to the end of our walk. We thought we'd do the end scene up here in front of the Hardy Monument. And it's been a very special walk for us today because it's been our 100th video walk together. So there you go. So if you did enjoy it, please give us a thumbs up and a like, and do make a comment. And as I always say, if you haven't already done so, please do subscribe. That way hopefully you'll be able to join us for another walk sometime in the future. And do check out our Facebook page, Dave's Countryside Walks. So until we meet again, thanks for watching and cheerio. It's downhill all the way now. Well, I thought I'd provide a little update on young Fiver. He's 11 weeks old today and really pleased with how he's progressing. He's got on well, really superbly with the other two. Young Logan here and Monty, who's sunning himself in the conservatory. And yeah, this lad's been no trouble at all. He's virtually making it through the night now without having to get up for a wee. And he's eating well, growing well. I've already got him doing a few little bits of obedience. You can do a sit and a down, can't you? And you're very good with toys. So he's had his first jab and he gets his second jab in a few weeks' time, but hopefully we can start taking him out for some little walks. He's started to get used to a lead without chewing it, and it won't be long before he'll be out on some really nice walks. But you're a good boy, aren't you? Still got his baby teeth at the moment. They're quite sharp, but as long as I've got plenty of things for him to chew on like that, then he's fine. But no, he's been as good as gold. You're going to be a good boy, aren't you? Yeah. So hopefully he'll be able to join us on some walks as a guest with myself and Logan in a few months' time when he's a little bit older. You're a little tiger, aren't you? Hey?